Tammy, I received the files that you sent us. I know you said you will be sending the Spanish. I thought it was today for this session.
We
Am I
are.
correct?
We're doing quality control on Spanish files today. Those will be coming. It looks like it may not be till tomorrow because we don't have
Okay.
them as of this afternoon. But we are at least you're going to have them within a week of presenting, and not the day before presenting, right? So.
I hope so. It's not the same to prepare in Spanish.
No, I understand. So I have the scripts, and they're with the QC now, and we should be getting the PowerPoints by end of day, and those are pretty simple to check once she's done the scripts. So let's just talk about who's on the line. We have our partners from the Symmetrics group, and they have helped us with all of the creation of these workshop materials, and they're going to be leading the Train the Trainer session today. Hope's going to give you an overview of the 3 documents that I've sent you, and what we want to encourage you to know is that you're going to be able to partner with your co-host to make the session your own. Realize that at RepFest, we will have 4 workshops, each on the acronyms of the BOSS selling system. So Belief will happen on Sunday morning, and then you all will follow that after lunch with the outreach module for leaders. So the sessions build on one another, and Hope will tell you how, if there are ways that you'll be reflecting back on Belief, what those would look like so you can know. There will be an application guide that's basically a handout, a booklet that representatives will get in the morning session, and they will use that in all 4 workshops, the 2 that we hold on Sunday and the 2 that we hold on Monday. So at the same time you're hosting yours, Bob and Sarah, Adriana and Alba will be hosting the same session in Spanish, and Phyllis and George will be hosting it in English in another room. So while we want you to add your own personal stories and make it, be authentic in your room, we want to stay with the same big concepts so that, let's say you have a downline member in all 3 sessions, that when you get back home as an upline, you're able to refer to the session and have a similar takeaway from it. Now, after today, you'll partner together to identify which sections of the script that you'll do and which your partner will do. So take some notes as Hope goes through, and you may say, I really would like to do this section. So you all will partner together on that, and then you will work with your trainer in the week ahead to do a practice run, and I believe those are scheduled. I know, Bob, we have yours and Sarah's scheduled. This morning we got that done, and Adriana, you'll be working with Roxana to plan the time for your rehearsal. And your virtual rehearsal is just that, a chance to go through it from start to finish, get a feel for the material, and then in Nashville we will do a full rehearsal. So we will start as if it was a real setting. You'll be in a room with all the same supports that you'll have on the day of your session. So Hope's going to allow you for time today to go through questions. I'll be on the line the whole time, and at the end we can stay on if you have any additional questions that may relate to what we'll be doing once we get to Nashville. So that's all I have, Hope. We'll go ahead and get started.
Fantastic. Tammy, if you can just share your screen, and I'll
help if I would get permission to show. I'm so sorry.
So that's the whole the other piece that we're looking to drive lately is activity. So the number of people that are actually placing.
There you are.
Thank you so much. If you all could just put yourselves on mute while I'm talking, and then I certainly do want to make it interactive. Take yourselves off mute, interrupt me, ask a question anytime. My name is Hope Iyer. As Tammy said, I'm with Symmetrics Group. I have a colleague, Kelsey, on the line as well. We've been helping Avon develop the materials for RepFest, and that has been an incredibly fun project for us. I'm going to take you through all of the materials that you're going to need for your session on outreach for leaders today. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to take a look at all of the 3 documents that we have so that you can see what they look like in case you haven't had a chance to do that yet. And then I'm going to walk through the entire outreach presentation deck so that you get a feel for the highlights on each slide that we want you to talk about. So let's go ahead and get started. Right now, you're just looking at a grid of our outreach deck. You have a total of 33 slides in your deck for 90 minutes. We'll talk about the timing on all of this in a little bit. So here's your deck. And then you have a script that goes along with it. And I just want to show you what the script looks like really quickly. On your script, you're going to see a picture of the slide. You'll have the slide number. And then you'll have the text there that we have written for you. And as Tammy said, this is a guideline for you. It's a suggestion. You all are live Avon every day. You're going to make this script your own. You're going to use your own words. You're going to tell your own stories. All of that is absolutely fantastic. You'll resonate more with the audience if you do that. The only thing that we ask is just two things we want you to keep in mind. One, make sure that you're addressing all the concepts on the slides that we want to get across. And you certainly use your own words to do that, but make sure that you get the concepts across. And then the other thing is that when you are customizing the script for yourself or telling stories, you want to keep an eye on the time. 33 slides is a lot to get through in 90 minutes. And you just want to make sure that you're going to end on time, that you're not going to get to 90 minutes and you're still on slide 25. We're not going to let that happen to you. We're going to talk about timing a little bit more in just a second. There's a couple other things I want to point out about the script. Let's just page down a little bit. In addition to the picture and the slide number, you'll occasionally see a note here. This says, for example, the slide is animated. What we've done here is, if the slide is animated, that means there are elements on the slide that are going to move by themselves when you click to it. Or if the slide builds, which means you need to click through the slide, you set the pace for showing the content on the slide. Or if there's a video involved, then we note that for you. It's just a little clue for yourself as you get prepared in order to give the presentation. So we just wanted to give you as much help as we could by making those notes so that you would know what to expect on the slide. So basically, this is it. This is your whole script. And then the other thing that participants are going to have that they should be bringing into the room with them is the application guide. We use these to do exercises. They should have picked them up in their belief session in the morning, as Tammy mentioned. I believe there's going to be a few extras in the room in case somebody lost theirs between the belief session and walking into outreach. But they are on the expensive side, so there probably won't be a lot there. So one of the things that you probably want to make a note for yourself is make sure that everybody has their application guide in hand, that they're ready to get them out. They are going to use them. You've got 2 exercises to do towards the end of this presentation, so you just want to make sure that they have them and that they're going to be able to use them. The outreach section of the application guide is pages 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I'm going to come back and refer to these as we go through the deck so you can see exactly when we're using the application guide and what we're using it for.
And Hope, I failed to mention one other thing before you get going, because I'm sure those that are on the line have the materials I sent them. We originally had hoped to use a polling app, but due to some last-minute changes with our ability to provide Wi-Fi in the rooms, we've made a decision to pull the polling feature from your slides. So Hope and Kelsey worked until late last night to edit the set of slides that they're showing you today. You'll notice in your materials some references to polling. So if you can just scratch that, and I'll be sending you new PowerPoints that won't have a reference to that in them. The other thing is that as Hope shares some of the videos that we're using, we were fortunate enough to be able to do a good video shoot while we were on the Vacation Like a Boss trip. And we're still editing those videos. So the videos that you'll see that may be shown today are unedited, and by the end of this week we will have edited videos. So the actual PowerPoints that we'll be showing in Nashville will be a different version than we're seeing today. No difference in content, just a better produced video that shows the representative name and her leadership title or her sales title, whichever is appropriate. So just know that those edits will be coming. And Adriana, then once we get the Spanish files, we'll need to make those changes after we get the quality control done. And I'm going to trust that Roxana will do that with you all. We may wind up doing that in rehearsals. So just be aware of that.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tammy. One other thing that we wanted to, and I don't know if you've already said this or not, Tammy, I think you have. In the script, you're going to have facilitation partner. You'll want to decide, it's up to you to decide amongst yourselves who you would like to present which content. So it's there for you to use, it's there for you to customize. You decide how you'd like to break that up between the two of you. Okay, so we're going to walk through the outreach slides now. This is outreach for leaders. And the first thing that I want to do is tell you about the kinds of slides that are in this deck and the timings that's associated with them, so that you can kind of have in the back of your mind as you're preparing how much time you should be spending on which type of slide. So as we get started, I'm going to show you some different kinds of slides here. You have 33 slides total, as I mentioned. 23 of those slides are content slides. And what I mean by a content slide is you're going to stand up and talk about it. The other two types of slides are transition slides, something that sets up the next section that you're going to walk into. Those slides look like this, they're red, and they're just setting up the section. And then the last type of slide is an activity slide. It's either an exercise slide where you're going to instruct the audience to do something. You've got two exercises in this session, or a call to action. The call to action is also an activity slide. It's the very last slide in the deck. It's something that we want the leaders to do. There are two activities associated with it. Something we want the leaders to do there at RepFest right away, and then something to take home with them. So those are activity slides. So your content slides, again, something that you're just going to stand up and talk through. You've got 23 of them, and we've allotted about 3 minutes a slide for you to talk through. So when you're customizing the script and you're preparing to put in stories, you want to keep yourself to about 3 minutes. Some of these slides are a little bit more. Some slides are a little bit less. Make sure that you're coming out to about 70 minutes total on your content. So 70 of the 90 minutes is on your content. Your 3 activity slides are going to take a total of about 10 to 12 minutes. And then you've got transition slides. Again, they're the red slides. They're just setting up the next session. This is what we're going to talk about. We just talked about this last thing, and now we're going to talk about this other thing. We have 7 of those in this deck, and you're going to take about a minute for each one of these. Some of them will take a lot less. Some of them we have some script attached to it. It'll take about a minute. So as you're preparing and as you're practicing when you get to RepFest, you want to keep this in mind. Content slides, 23. You want to get that done in about 70 minutes. You've got 3 activity slides, 2 exercises, and 1 call to action. You want to get through those in about 12 minutes. And you've got 7 transition slides, and you're going to take up to a minute apiece in order to go through those. So 33 slides total seems like it would be an easy thing to get through in 90 minutes. It really is a fairly tight schedule because you have a lot of content to get through here. So just keep an eye on the time when you and your partner are getting prepared. Any questions on that before we start on the content? All right. Our opening slide here, and I'm going to put this in presentation mode. Our opening slide here has a reference right away to the belief session that they came out of in the morning. And it has to do with, and you're going to see this yourself when you go to the belief session, the last thing they do when they leave the belief session is they pick up a sticker and they're going to put it on, and it says, "Ask me about my dream." And that's the call to action activity we've given them for right there at RepFest. So you're going to see a bunch of people walking around with "Ask me about my dream" stickers on their clothing, and The assignment that we gave them was, not only do we want you to put this on, we want you to actually find somebody you don't know, which should be easy at RepFest, and ask them about their dream, and then share yours with somebody else, so that people are networking and they're talking with, getting to know people that maybe they haven't met before. So the other concept that we have in the belief session that plays into outreach here is the concept of having a life dream, having dreams in life, things you want to achieve for yourself. We play up that concept quite a lot in belief, and we talk about it in terms of, you know, a lot of times we're focused on a lot of other people and not ourselves, but this is a chance to do exactly that. There are things we want to achieve in life. Our Avon business gives us the opportunity to do that by earning the money that we make from it. And we want to make sure that everyone's dreaming as big as possible. So you're going to start right away with, is everyone wearing their dream sticker? And are you dreaming bigger now than when you woke up this morning? And this is a way to get some excitement going in the crowd and pump them up before you actually get into the content of this section. Any questions on that? You'll see it when you get to the belief section. It's going to be really fun. All right, let's get right into outreach. We have an agenda coming right after this, but the first thing that we want to do before we get to our agenda is define what outreach means. And our official definition here is making meaningful connections with customers and future team members. Now, this is very deliberate. Customers refers to product customers, future team members, obviously. We talk about both in both sessions, representative and leader. That's very deliberate. So most of the time in this session, we're going to be talking about selling the Avon opportunity, attracting people to the Avon opportunity, and mostly we stick to that. You will occasionally see something that refers to product customers, and it will be in the right context for this session. But making meaningful connections with customers and future team members. And this is what this entire session is about. Obviously, one of your key activities is selling. It's the session that comes up after this. But getting organized and making a plan for who you're going to reach out to, where you're going to find those people, how many you need to contact in order to achieve a financial goal. This is what the outreach session is about. So the name sort of implies a little bit that we're going to be talking about what you say when you meet people. That's actually in the selling session that comes later. In outreach, what we're going to do here is we're going to organize. We're going to organize and we're going to plan, because achieving our objectives in selling are going to be quite a lot easier if we've got a plan for how to go about it. So that's what the entire session is about. Let's take a look at the agenda. First, we want to connect to inspire interest in Avon. And what this section talks about is, you know, I'm going to need to probably meet more people than I'm meeting today in order to get folks interested in the Avon opportunity. And I'm going to have to do some connecting with people that I don't necessarily know, complete strangers, for example. And I'm probably going to need to think about where I'm going to go and meet those people. So we're going to talk about who might we connect with and where might we find those people so that we can inspire their interest in Avon in this first section. After we do that, we're going to talk about planning like a boss. This is connected right back to our dreams that we started out the conversation about. Are you dreaming bigger than you were when you woke up this morning? You have dreams. They probably cost money, so you have financial goals associated with those dreams. Let's make a plan in order to achieve those financial goals. We use a product example to walk through here. Now, the context for your leaders is going to be if you were talking to your downline about this and helping them understand what to do, this would be the example. Now, take the concept and apply it to attracting people to the Avon opportunity. You'll see what I mean when we get there. But we use an example to illustrate that. Then we talk about executing your plan through outreach. And what that means is I'm going to build a list of people that I know, people that I'm acquainted with, and then there's all those other people out there who are going to be complete strangers that I'm going to have to meet. So I need to organize my list of people and how I'm going to contact them, and what do I want to achieve when I do, and how exactly do I go about that. So that's executing your outreach build list, basically, in order to achieve your financial goals for your dream. So that's executing your plan. And then stay on track is simply a very small section that talks about you're going to need to stay motivated in order to do this. We're going to talk a little bit later about the power of five contacts a day, 5 days a week. You're going to need a little motivation to keep doing that over and over again. So we have some tips here on how to do that and how to inspire your downline to do that. Finally, we're just going to recap all of the concepts that we just talked about in outreach, and then we'll have our own call to action for outreach, something that we want the leaders to do right then and there, and then something that we want them to do when they get back home. And as I said, the call to action is an activity. Every single session has that as the last slide in the deck. So this is our agenda. Questions on this? All right, connect to inspire interest in Avon. And as I said, this is all about who might I connect with and where can I find these folks. So you're just going to see my slide is building here. There's a whole bunch of, or it's animated here. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of people on this list. People that some of the audience is probably already working to connect with, others that maybe they hadn't thought of before. And that's what the entire point of this slide is you're going to need to find folks to connect with, not just the friends and family that are easy for you to connect with, not just the downline members that you talk with frequently, but you're going to have to attract other people to the opportunity, people that you don't necessarily know. And here are some options for you. It's just to get you thinking. Our next slide is, well, where might I go to meet people, particularly people that I don't know, acquaintances or complete strangers that I'm going to have a chance encounter with. We talk about chance encounter. This is meeting people that we don't know, having a conversation, starting to establish a relationship that might eventually lead to a conversation about Avon. I want you to keep that term chance encounter in mind. It's something that you're going to talk about here. It's a thread that gets picked up and continues on when they get to the selling module. So it's important to keep that phrase in mind and to stay true to that phrase when you're talking. Chance encounter.
Hey, Ho.
Here's some places. Yeah.
It's Tammy. See, I think this would be an awesome place for you, Sarah, or Adriana for Alba to be able to say, let me tell you how I handle chance encounters, to be able to make a personal story here along with these slides. So that's an example of how, there's a lot of great information on the slide, but your personal story might reinforce what's on the slide, and that would be better to tell than just reading the slides. So that's an example that I think makes a great point of what you said earlier, Hope.
Yep, absolutely. I think we even have that note in the script. We have it in a couple of places, but you should absolutely do that as much as possible. It's going to make it so much more compelling to your audience, just as long as you make sure that you're keeping an eye on the time. It's the only parameter that you have. Okay, good. So we meet people in all sorts of places. This is, again, just to get them thinking. You can tell your own story here. And then we want to be very clear on what outreach is and what outreach isn't. And here's what it's not. It's not a hard sell. It's not a high pressure conversation about Avon. It's not leaving your team alone. It's not micromanaging them either. It's not recruit a new team member and forget them. And it's not just a one-time event. That's not what it is. Here's what it is. It's all about building relationships and understanding people's needs. What about their situation might make the Avon opportunity right for them? It's helping to solve their problems. It's checking in with them and caring. So establishing relationships and understanding people's needs and problem solving is the name of the game here. Hard selling and high pressure is not. And that should go a long way to get very clear in people's minds what we mean by outreach. Why outreach is important? Well, it boils down to this. You probably have a dream. It's probably going to cost some money, which means you probably need to make a plan in order to achieve that financial goal. And so that's what we're going to talk about next. We have a little video here. And now I'm going to pause and talk to you about how the videos work. This is just a little video of two leaders. I think it's two leaders talking about, why having a dream is important to them, and what organizing their outreach means to them. Here's how the videos will work. And as Tammy said, The videos are going to be installed locally on the laptop in your room and in the practice session. They will not be on the internet, which means you don't need the internet in order to connect to them, which means we're not going to have any technical glitches whatsoever launching these videos. So for every video you have in here, and you've got 3, right from presentation mode, you're going to click on the little icon in the lower left of the video camera. The video camera is always in the lower left on the slide. In the script, we will note there's a video on this slide. It's going to be obvious to you if you practice a couple of times. You won't need that anymore, but we make that note anyway. Then you're going to click right on the video, the camera rather, and the video is going to launch. Now you're seeing it launch here online because the videos are still there online. But what should happen is the video should pop up and it should start to play. The audio should be clear and everything. This is kind of what it looks like. The only thing that you have to do in order to get back to your presentation when the video is finished is to go up to the right corner and close it down. And that's it. You don't need to minimize the screen for your presentation, go find the video, pull it up, close it down, pull up your presentation again. You don't need to do any of that. And you're going to practice this so that it will be smooth for you. Just go down to the bottom left corner, click on the icon, the video will launch and play, you close it down, and you continue on with your presentation. Any questions on that? Straightforward. Okay, here's another type of slide. This is a content slide, but it's a type of slide that is in every single leader deck at RepFest. We call it a motivation moment, and the label on it is always motivate like a boss. And here's what it is. You're going to have 3 or 4 of these in this slide. They typically come after the section is over again. So you've presented the content, you've illustrated it with a video, and now you're going to have a motivation moment. And this is content specifically for leaders. How might you inspire or motivate your downline to learn and practice and succeed at the concept we just talked about? So we've got some suggestions here for making outreach simple, easy, and fun in a social setting. And we list a few. And this, again, is a fantastic opportunity to say, and this is what I do. You know, we've got, you know, some things that we're suggesting here: have a themed social event, encourage team members to bring a ride along to the social event, host a business opportunity meeting, ask prospects what their dream in life is. That's to connect more with your downline in case that's something that needs to happen. And then you should interject with your own story about how you typically do that. So now we get to our next section. We talk about the people that we need to meet. We talk about where we might find these folks, who they might be. And now let's talk about, why are we doing that? Well, we probably have a dream, and it's probably going to cost money, and we want to achieve it. So let's make a plan around reaching that financial goal. And the best way to illustrate that, and the reason we're doing this is because we know that the leaders are going to be talking about this with their downline, is we have an example, and it's a product example. So let's walk through this. Our dream here is, I want to travel. I want to take my entire family to Disney World in September. Okay, fantastic. That's great. I'm probably going to need some funding for that. Well, let's go get our dream. And what we mean by that is, how much money do you need, and what portion of it do you want Avon to contribute to financing your dream or that specific goal? And our example here, my go-get, or the amount of money I need for my trip, is $1,500, and I need to make it within the next 3 months. Okay, fantastic. $1,500 in 3 months, I need to sell about $3,900 worth of product. Let's break that down, that $3,900 down by month, by campaign, and by week. Now, sometimes people get a little intimidated when they see a bunch of numbers on the slide. This is the easiest thing in the world. All you're saying here is, look, you have an objective. The financial objective is $1,500. You need to sell $3,900 in order to get there. All we're doing is breaking it down by month, campaign, and week. So it's $1,300 a month $6.50 per campaign, $3.25 per week. That's what we need to sell. And if I want my average order to be in the neighborhood of $50, then fantastic. What I need is 7 customers to buy $50 worth of stuff every single week for the next 12 weeks. And our only point here is your dreams are totally achievable. They're totally achievable because we just made a plan to achieve them. And it's not a difficult plan. Now, on this slide, I'm going to show you on the application guide, we have this example and the little template for achieving it right in the application guide on slide 7. It looks slightly different from how it looks on the screen, but here it is. If you're looking at the right side of my screen, here's our template to do exactly that. And at the bottom of this page is the example that I showed you, and I'm going to show it to you again in the deck in a consolidated format. So when you get to these slides, make sure that you're pointing out, and we have this in the scripts. You can see this on slide 7 of your application guide. You can see exactly how this works, and we've left you with a template so that you can use it at home. So let's look at the whole thing consolidated. Here it is. Here's my plan. I have a dream. My goal is this much money. I have a goal to make that amount of money, and I'm breaking that down by month, campaign, and week. I want my average order to be around $50. I would have that as an objective. And my action plan, $50 to 7 customers rather, every 12 weeks. How do I do that? Well, I want to connect with at least people I know, every 3 people I know each day in order to stay current and top of mind with them. And I want to connect with at least 2 people I don't know each day in order to get new customers interested. Any questions on how we walk through that? Pretty straightforward? Okay. To wrap this section up, we talk about why having a plan is important. And here's what we talk about that. If we have a dream but not a plan, you know, vaguely we need $1,500. I guess I'll go out and kind of do that. Okay. We're probably going to be in our way in order to achieve that objective. But if we have a dream and a plan, we're on our way to achieving it. And here's where we have another video. So we see our video icon. And here's what this video is. This is a video of a gentleman named Bob Bowman. He's Michael Phelps' swim coach. And he gives a talk that was so tailored to what we were talking about here, right down to the language, that we decided to use a clip from it. And this is what he talks about. People succeed because they have a plan. And he talks about the fact that, yeah, Michael Phelps has physical attributes that gets him to the Olympics, but that isn't why he wins. The reason he wins is because he has a plan and he executes it with his coach. And the language was so close to what we were talking about, it really was a fantastic illustration. So that's what our video is on this slide. And that wraps up this section on making a plan and why having a plan is important. We have another motivation moment here. Help your team understand what good looks like. This is, again, especially for leaders, is to help them think about how they can help their downline make a plan that looks like what we just walked through. And so we have some suggestions here. And that finishes out our making a plan section. Any questions on any of that? All right, so let's move on to our second section, and that's executing your plan through outreach. Now again, outreach, the actual activity of having a conversation with somebody, is covered in selling. Here, we're making a plan and we're organizing our list of people that we're going to connect with. And that's what we mean by in this section. We're going to get ourselves organized with who we want to contact. So here's how we do that. We've got 3 actions and we walk through all 3 of them. We're going to build a list of folks that we can in our network. And then we're going to figure out how to work it. We're going to organize that outreach, and we'll talk about what that means. And then we're going to connect with intention. And here's where we talk about the power of 5 contacts 5 days a week, 5 contacts a day, 5 days a week. And then also the reason that it's very important to allocate time in order to do your outreach. Don't have a vague inclination of kind of, I need to do some outreach this week, but make it time. I'm doing it from 1 to 4 on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And so we talk about that. So let's talk about the first one, which is build your list. We have 3 types of people in our list. We have what we call hot, which are friends and family, good customers, people that already support our business that we talk to frequently, that it's basically no effort whatsoever to connect with because they're already fantastic connections and we know them well. That goes into the hot list. Warm is people that you might be acquainted with either through your friends and family or at church or at the PTA meeting or some other activity where you might bump into that person occasionally. They go on your warm list. The cold list is basically everybody else in the world. You don't know anybody, okay? You don't know people's names. And so these are going to go back to your chance encounters again. And so what we talk about here is where would you have a chance encounter so that you could meet people that you don't know and then start a relationship with them that you might eventually add to your list and they would become warm or hot. Then we want to organize our outreach. Okay, fantastic. We've built a list. Some of the folks are hot, some are warm, and then we have chance encounters that we're going to make. And then probably there's some follow-up that we want to do with ongoing business that's already happening. All right, what kind of outreach are we talking about here? Are we selling a product? Are we recruiting a new team member? Are we having a chance encounter, or are we following up? And then who are we doing that with? So our example here, we have a few names under selling a product, a few names under recruiting new members, and then we have a how am I going to contact them based on what their preferences are. Do they prefer text message? Do they prefer email? Do they prefer phone? You want to make sure that you're contacting people the way they prefer to be contacted to increase your chances of making a connection. And then what do I want to accomplish with those folks when I connect with them? Am I after placing orders? Am I after getting to know them and their needs and whether or not the Avon opportunity might be right for them? If it's a chance encounter and I want to make 5 cold contacts, where am I going to go and do that? Let's make a plan for where I'm going to go. And what is my objective with that? Establish new prospects. And then let's say we have a following up activity. Let's say you just had an event. And you had an event with current team members in order to attract some new team members, some folks that you invited so that they can meet the team members and see what the Avon opportunity was about. You had an event and you had some follow-up activity with some of the attendees. So this is how we organize our outreach. First, we build a list. We assign a color based on how well we know them or if we don't know them at all. And then we organize what kind of conversation we want to have, how we're going to contact them, and what we want to accomplish with each conversation. And that's organizing outreach. Is that clear to everyone? Any questions? Okay, our last slide in this section is connect with intention. And here's when we talk about the power of 5. 5 contacts a day, 5 days a week. And then commit like a boss, and all I mean by that, as I just mentioned before, was make sure you're allocating time or being very deliberate about the time period on your calendar, in your schedule, that you're going to devote to your outreach. And then we have 2 exercises, 2 activities. They are back to back, one right after the other. So this is where we're going to be using our application guide, and the activity 1 here, which is identify as many people as you can think of in 60 seconds, and then assign a hot or warm color to them. So your hot network, your warm network. That's on that is on page 8 of the application guide. You want to have one in your hand when you're presenting so that you can hold it up and point to it so that people know where to go. This concept of hot, warm, and cold is repeated in the application guide, so while we do have it up here on the screen, they can read it for themselves as well. And you want to make sure that you point that out. And then we tell you in the script, you know, give them 60 seconds in order to do this, then give them, I think we say, another 90 seconds or 2 minutes in order to assign a hot or warm to each one. And then that's the duration of this particular activity. This is fun, it's easy to do, it's simple, it gets people, you know, now kind of up and moving a little bit. You're on slide 23 of your 33-page presentation, so you're 2/3 of the way through. You've been talking to them. This gives you a little bit of a break, and this gives them something to do to keep them engaged. After they finish that, we're going to go right into brainstorming places to prospect. So let's take 2 minutes to create a top 10 places to prospect. Where do you go in order to find prospects for that you might want to attract to the Avon opportunity? And so the assignment here is to see if you can come up with 10. And then here's the other thing that we want them to do here, because sticking with your plan once you've made it requires probably some motivation, and having somebody hold you accountable is a great way to be motivated. So while they can choose somebody to hold them accountable at home, and the leaders can also suggest this to their downline when they're talking about product sales, we also ask them to choose a partner in the room, someone who's sitting next to them, for example, and exchange contact information, and then get in touch with each other after that they're back home and they've given this a try to see how it's going. It's sort of like another accountability checkpoint. So this is another suggestion that we're making to them. And these are the only 2 activities that you have here. I'm sorry, this is the call to action. These are your 2 exercises that you have here in the outreach session. Finally, we have another motivation moment. And this is specifically for leaders. How can they inspire their team to crush their financial goals? And we have a list of things here. Schedule one-on-one calls, create an accountability group, celebrate team member progress and milestones publicly, use the current incentive trips to highlight how small wins can add up. Here's another place where you're probably going to have your own stories. It would be an absolutely fantastic place for you to add them. And that closes out that section. So we've made a plan, we've organized our outreach, we've organized our list, and now we want to talk about staying on track, which is some suggestions for motivation. So we have a couple of things. Optimize your actions. This is the build slide. You can control how quickly you talk through this. Optimizing your actions means, and this is for the leaders as well as for the leaders to talk through with their downline, assess what's working and what's not working. When you're putting this into practice, if something isn't working, stop doing it and try something different. Definitely don't keep doing something that's not netting you any result. Ask someone to help hold you accountable. That was our objective in that last exercise with exchanging the contact information. You can easily do that with, you know, the downline can do that with their leaders. The leaders can do that with their own leaders or their coach. With colleagues that they have as well, friends and family, somebody who's going to help them along. And then we just have this middle one here, work your list and up your game, and we've got our hashtag here, Avon Goal Crusher. Optimize your time by focusing on what matters most. Spend your time on things that are getting you results. Don't spend time on things that aren't getting you a result. That's tied to number 1 there. If something's not working, don't do it anymore. And then stay motivated by staying connected to your why. And the why concept comes from the belief session. Why do you have an Avon business in the first place? You know why you do. It allows you to do some things. Stay at home with your children, get more education, pay off some debt, things like that. They go through an exercise where they define their why. In the belief session, we're referring back to that here, but essentially it's stay connected to why you got into this business in the first place and why you can continue to have it and what it does for you. And we have a couple of suggestions here. Write your why on your bathroom mirror and let's pick a ringtone that reminds you of your why. I'm sure that you'll have other suggestions that you could add to this. And then stay true to your beliefs in your dream. We're just reiterating that last point over again. Recognize that there's going to be some days when you don't want to make your 5 contacts a day. But you want to make sure that you remember, again, why you're doing this. You're here to achieve a dream and a goal. It's totally doable. We've just laid out how you do that. And we suggest some things like celebrate small personal milestones by treating yourself. You know, I did make those 5 contacts a day, 5 days a week. I did it all week long. Fantastic. All right, let's celebrate. I'm sure that you'll have some other suggestions that you might want to add to this list. And then our last thing here, and again, this is a Bill slide, you control the pace at which you talk about these things. In order to connect with people, to attract them to the opportunity, or to even sell products, you have to bring value to your prospects and to your customers, even your current customers and your downline. You have to be continually bringing value to them. And the way you do that is by staying informed. So make sure that you're dedicating time to learn about the products, the trends, the promotions, okay? Stay connected with the Avon opportunity so that you can learn best practices, share best practices for leaders. It's going to be very important they do that so that they can help educate their downline on things that they might want to do to be successful. And then definitely make the most of the Avon programs, incentives, special offers, bundles, other things that might apply to leaders specifically. And then this last bullet here is just something that you should be aware of. Avon University is e-learning virtual training. They're going to talk a lot more about that in the last module, which is support, but you can introduce the concepts here. These are all ways for you to stay up on the current information about the Avon business and things that you can be doing in order to build your business successfully, and that helps you bring value to prospects.
Yes, buying option, are you going to have that?
We have our last motivation moment here. Stay engaged with your own team, your own customers, and your own prospects. And then this is something that I've heard a lot of leaders already do. Create a Facebook group for their team and then name it, and then make use of some other things in order to be sharing this information around outreach and how to stay motivated and how to be effective with it. And that is your presentation. We have just a couple of minutes left. We have the last couple of slides. You're going to do a recap. This is just a summary of everything that we just talked about. So you want to talk through this. And again, outreach isn't about the actual conversation. It's about making a plan, getting organized, who you're going to talk to, what you're going to talk to them about, and how you're going to go about that. Just the things that we just talked about. And then here on our last slide is our call to action. As I mentioned before, the call to action is there is one in every single session. They will have done one in the belief session. That's with the Ask Me About My Dreams stickers. And here are the ones for leaders in the outreach section. The first one that we want them to do, and we want them to do it right now. This does not mean that you need to hold them in the room and have them do it before they leave. That's not what that means. What we mean is that we want this to be an immediate thing. Get out in the hallway before you go to your next activity. Do this. Just get this done. And this is what we want them to do. We want them to text 3 customers that typically place large orders. And then we want them to text the message about the A-Box offer. And the A-Box offer is right in the application guide. The text for it, right in the application guide on page 10. I can show that to you really fast. Here it is, right here on the left side of my screen. And so this is what the activity that we do. This text in pink is what we'd like them to do. That's their immediate call to action, what we want them to do right there at RepFest, sooner rather than later. And then when they get back home, here's what we want them to do. Engage their Avon community and share ideas about where to go to kickstart conversation with their cold network. This is the chance encounters. This is a more intimidating thing to do for some people than it is to reach out to hot or warm, members of their team, people that they talk to constantly, or warm acquaintances. You know, this is something that we'd really like them to work on, which is make more chance encounters. And so let's get some ideas for how to get that going. And that's what we'd like them to do when they get home. We've got about a minute left. That is your full presentation. I want to ask if you've got any questions about any of this, the slides, the script, the application guide, anything that we've said here in the last 40 minutes or so.
This is Adriana. I don't have a question about the comment about the content. Just have a question about the last thing that you mentioned, the 8 box. I think that's pretty cool that it's on the application guide. Will it be added or, posted on their social media center app as well, so they can just go there and text their customers? Or
You know what, Adriana, I will follow up on that to see where we are. I know there's a whole effort of what all we're doing around the A box, so let me make a note and I will get that information to you by your rehearsal time. Okay.
Just that could be a quick, go in and versus that picture for those that are more techie.
Tammy, not a question about the content. Again, you guys, nice job. You always do a great job with this content. So it's more just about the room, Tammy. The only thing you're asking us to bring is a clicker if we have it, correct?
Yep.
What's maximum capacity and what's the setup of the room?
They're going to be theater style. You will have a stage, a podium, and lavalier mics. We will have a production crew in the room to support with the audio, the music and whatnot. There will be songs a designated song to play as people are coming in, and a designated song as people are going out. That Kelsey and Hope have done a great job of choosing a playlist that really fits our seminars. What else should you know? The projector will be there, and we, at this point, we're planning to have a computer in the room that already has your presentation loaded. I'll ask everyone to have it on your laptop just as a backup, for heaven forbid something happened. So we'll talk through that at rehearsals.
Is it sit-down presentation or is it from the podium?
Say again, Adriana, I'm sorry.
Is it, are we going to be sitting down with our leader, like next to her on the stage? Are we going to be on the podium? What's the expectation on that?
No, you would be on your feet. We won't have seats on the stage. The podium's not necessary for you to use. We just thought you might like a place to put a glass of water or to put a note to help you check in on where you are in timing.
Okay.
And then, Tammy, will there be a monitor like down closer to the floor so that they can see what slides they're on without having to turn around?
You'll have a readiness monitor, and we believe we'll be able to put that in presentation mode so you can see notes. We will not have a teleprompter in your room. And Bob, to your question, it depends on which meeting room you're in as far as capacity. You could have up to 1,000 people in your room.
Okay.
I don't have that right in front of me, or I would tell you. I have many papers here, but not that paper.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Tammy, I think I'm finished.
Okay. Everyone have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.